Shalom, brothers and sisters in Yahuwah Elohim, and welcome to our next extra-canonical study in the Book of Jasher. Tonight, we will be studying the Book of Jasher, of course, chapters 52, 53, and 54. So if you got a Dead Sea Scrolls book, go ahead and grab it, and we will get started this evening. I hope everybody had a really good Shabbat and a good weekend, and now we're ready to head into our week again. All right, gang, get yourself something to drink, and we'll get started. All right, grab a drink off my coffee. All righty. All right, gang, you got it? All right. The Book of Jasher, chapter 52. They entered their house, and every man opened his sack. And they looked, and there every man's bundle of money was there, at which they and their father were greatly terrified. And Jacob said to them, "What is this that you have done to me? I sent your brother Joseph to inquire after your welfare, and you said to me, a wild beast did devour him. And Simon went with you to buy food, and you say to the king of Egypt, hath confined him in prison. And you wish to take Benjamin to cause his death also, and bring down my gray hairs with sorrow to the grave on account of Benjamin and his brother Joseph. Now therefore my son shall not go down there with you, for his brother is dead, and he is left alone, and mischief may befall him by the way in which you go, as it befell his brother." Reuben said to his father, "You shall kill my 2 sons, if I do not bring your son and place him before you." Jacob said to his sons, "Abide ye here, and do not go down to Egypt. For my son shall not go down with you to Egypt, nor die like his brother." And Judah said to them, "Refrain from him until the corn is finished, and he will then say, take down your brother when he finds his own life, and the life of his household in danger from the famine." In those days the famine was severe throughout the land, and all the people of earth went and came to Egypt to buy food. For the famine continued greatly among them, and the sons of Jacob remained in Canaan 1 year and 2 months, until their corn was finished. And it came to pass, after their corn was finished, the whole household of Jacob was pinched with hunger, and all the infants of the sons of Jacob came together, and they approached Jacob. They all surrounded him, and said to him, "Give us bread. For why shall we all perish through hunger in your presence?" Jacob heard the words of his son's children, and he wept greatly, weeping, and his pity was roused for them. Jacob called to his sons, and they all came and sat before him. And Jacob said to them, "Have you not seen how your children have been weeping over me this day, saying, 'Give us bread,' and there is none? Now therefore return, and buy for us a little food." And Judah answered, and said to his father, "If you will send our brother with us, we will go down and buy corn. And if you will not send him, then we will not go down. For certainly the king of Egypt particularly requested us, saying, You shall not see my face until your brother is with you. The king of Egypt is a strong and mighty king, and behold, if we shall go to him without our brother, we shall be put to death. Do you not know, and have you not heard, that this king is very powerful and wise, and there is no one like him in all the earth? Behold, we have seen all the kings of the earth, and we have not seen one like that king, the king of Egypt. Certainly among all the kings of the earth there is none greater than Abimelech, king of the Philistines. Yet the king of Egypt is greater and mightier than he, and Abimelech can only be compared to one of his officers. Father, you have not seen his palace and his throne, and all his servants standing before him. You have not seen that king on his throne in his pomp and royal appearance, dressed in his kingly robes, with a large golden crown on his head. You have not seen the honor and glory which Yahuwah has given to him, for there is no one like him in all the earth. Father, you have not seen the wisdom, the understanding, and the knowledge which Yahuwah has given in his heart, nor heard his sweet voice when he spoke to us. We know not, Father, who made him acquainted with our names and all that happened to us. Yet he asked also after you, saying, Is your father still living, and is it well with him? You have not seen the affairs of the government of Egypt regulated by him, without inquiring of Pharaoh his lord. You have not seen the awe and fear which he impressed on all the Egyptians. And also, when we went from him, we were threatened of doing to Egypt like to the rest of the cities of the Amorites, and we were greatly angered against all his words which he spoke concerning us as spies. Now when we shall again come before him, his terror will fall on us all, not one of us will be able to speak to him either a little or a great thing. Now therefore, Father, send, we pray you, the lad with us, and we will go down and buy you food from our support, and not die through hunger. And Jacob said, Why have you dealt so ill with me, to tell the king you had a brother? Why is this thing that you have done to me? And Judah said to Jacob his father, Give the lad into my care, and we will rise up, and go down to Egypt, and buy corn, then return. And it shall be when we return, if the lad is not with us, then let me bear your blame forever. Have you seen all our infants weeping over you through hunger, and there is no power in your hand to satisfy them? Now let your pity be roused for them, and send our brother with us, and we will go. For how will the Elohim's kindness to our ancestors be manifested to you, when you say that the king of Egypt will take away your son? As the Elohim lives, I will not leave him until I bring him and place him before you. But pray for us to the Elohim, that he may deal kindly with us, to cause us to be received favorably and kindly before the king of Egypt and his men. For had we not delayed, certainly by now we had returned a second time with your son. And Jacob said to his sons, I trust in Yahuwah Elohim, that he may deliver you and give you favor in the sight of the king of Egypt, and in the sight of all his men. Now therefore rise up and go to the man, and take for him in your hands a present from what can be obtained in the land, and bring it before him. And may the Almighty Elohim give you mercy before him, that he may send Benjamin and Simon your brothers with you. And all the men rose up, and they took their brother Benjamin, and they took in their hand a large present of the best of the land, and they also took a double portion of silver. And Jacob strictly commanded his sons concerning Benjamin, saying, Take care of him in the way in which you are going, and do not separate yourselves from him in the road, neither in Egypt. And Jacob rose from his sons, and spread forth his hands, and he prayed to the Elohim on account of his sons, saying, O Yahuwah Elohim of heaven and earth, remember your covenant with our father Abraham, remember it with my father Isaac, and deal kindly with my sons, and deliver them not into the hands of the king of Egypt. Do it, I pray you, O Elohim, for the sake of your mercies, and redeem all of my children, and rescue them from Egyptian power, and send them their two brothers. And all the wives of the son of Jacob and their children lifted up their eyes to heaven, and they all wept before Elohim, and cried to him, and delivered their father, cried to him to deliver their fathers from the hand of the king of Egypt. Jacob wrote a record to the king of Egypt, and gave it into the hand of Judah, and into the hands of his sons, for the king of Egypt, saying, From your servant Jacob, son of Isaac, son of Abraham the Hebrew, the prince of Yahuwah, to the powerful and wise king, the revealer of secrets, king of Egypt, greetings. Be it known to my lord the king of Egypt, the famine was very heavy on us in the land of Canaan, and I sent my sons to you to buy a little food for us from you for our support. For my sons surrounded me, and I, being very old, cannot see with my eyes, for my eyes has become very dim through age, as well as with daily weeping for my son. For Joseph, who was lost from before me, I commanded my sons that they should not enter the gates of the city when they came to Egypt, on account of the inhabitants of the land. And I also commanded them to go about Egypt to seek for my son Joseph. Perhaps they might find him there. And they did so, and you did consider them as spies of the land. Have we not heard concerning you that you did interpret Pharaoh's dream, and did speak truly to him? How then, do you not know in your wisdom whether my sons are spies or not? Now therefore, my lord and king, behold, I have sent my son before you, as you did speak to my sons. I beg you to put your eyes on him until he is returned to me in peace with his brothers. For do you not know, or have you not heard that which our Elohim did to Pharaoh when he took my mother Sarah, and what he did to Abimelech, king of the Philistines, on account of her, and also what our father Abraham did to the 9 kings of Elam, and how he struck them all with a few men that were with him? And also what my 2 sons, Simon and Levi, did to the 8 cities of the Amorites, how they destroyed them on account of their sister Dinah, and also on account of their brother Benjamin. They consoled themselves for the loss of his brother Joseph. What will they then do for him when they see the hand of any people prevailing over them for his sake? Do you not know, O king of Egypt, that the power of Elohim is with us, and that also Elohim ever hears our prayers and forsakes us not all the days? And when my sons told me of your dealings with them, I called not to the Elohim on account of you, for then you would have perished with your men before my son Benjamin came before you. But I thought that as Simon my son was in your house, perhaps you might deal kindly with him. Therefore I did not do this thing to you. Now therefore, behold, Benjamin my son comes to you with my sons. Take care of him, and put your eyes on him, and then will Elohim place his eyes over you, and throughout your kingdom. Now I have told you all that is in my heart, and behold, my sons are coming to you with their brother. Examine the face of the whole earth for their sake, and send them back in peace with their brothers. And Jacob gave the record to his sons into the care of Judah to give it to the king of Egypt. Chapter 53. The sons of Jacob rose up and took Benjamin and all of the presents. They went and came to Egypt, and they stood before Joseph. And Joseph beheld his brother Benjamin with them, and he saluted them. And these men came to Joseph's house. Joseph commanded the superintendent of his house to give food to his brothers to eat, and he did so to them. At noontime, Joseph sent for the men to come before him with Benjamin. And the men told the superintendent of Joseph's house concerning the silver that was returned in their sacks. He said to them, It will be well with you, fear not. And he brought their brother Simon to them. And Simon said to his brothers, The Lord of the Egyptians has acted very kindly to me. He did not keep me bound, as you saw with your eyes. For when you went from the city, he let me free, and dealt kindly with me in his house. And Judah took Benjamin by the hand, and they came before Joseph, and they bowed down to him to the ground. The men gave the present to Joseph, and they all sat before him. And Joseph said to them, It is well with you. Is it well with your children? Is it well with your aged father? And they said, It is well. And Judah took the record which Jacob had sent, and gave it into the hand of Joseph. Joseph read the letter, and knew his father's writing, and he wished to weep. He went into an inner room, and he wept a great weeping, and he came out. He lifted up his eyes and observed his brother Benjamin, and said, Is this your brother of whom you spoke to me? Benjamin approached Joseph, and Joseph placed his hand on his head, and he said to him, May Elohim be gracious to you, my son. And when Joseph saw his brother, the son of his mother, he again wished to weep, and he entered the chamber, and he wept there. He washed his face and came out, and refreshed from weeping, he said, Prepare food. Joseph had a cup from which he drank. It was of silver, beautifully inlaid with onyx stones and bdellium, and Joseph stuck the cup in the sight of his brothers while they were sitting to eat with him. Joseph said to the men, I know by this cup that Reuben, the firstborn, Simon and Levi and Judah, Issachar and Zebulun are children from one mother. Seat yourselves to eat according to your births. He also placed the others according to their births, and said, I know that this is your youngest brother, has no brother. I, like him, have no brother. He shall therefore sit down to eat with me. Benjamin went up before Joseph and sat on the throne, and the men beheld the act of Joseph, and they were astonished at them. The men ate and drank at that time with Joseph, and he then gave presents to them. Joseph gave one gift to Benjamin, and Manasseh and Ephraim saw the acts of their father, and they also gave presents to him. And Osnath gave him one present, and there were 5 presents in the hands of Benjamin. Joseph brought out wine to drink, and they would not drink. They said, From the day in which Joseph was lost, we have not drunk wine, nor eaten any delicacies. And Joseph swore to them, and he passed them hard. They drank plentifully with him on that day, and Joseph afterward turned to his brother Benjamin to speak with him, and Benjamin was still sitting on the throne before Joseph. Joseph said to him, Have you any children? And he said, Your servant has 10 sons, and these are their names, Bela, Bechar, Ashbal, Gerah, Naaman, Arkai, Rosh, Mapim, Shepim, and Ord. And I called their names after my brother, whom I have not seen. He ordered them to bring before him his map of the stars, whereby Joseph knew all the times. And Joseph said to Benjamin, I have heard that the Hebrews are acquainted with all wisdom. Do you know anything of this? And Benjamin said, Thy servant knows all the wisdom which my father taught me. Joseph said to Benjamin, Look now at this instrument and understand where your brother Joseph is in Egypt, when you said, who you said went down to Egypt. And Benjamin observed that instrument with the map of the stars of heaven, and he was wise, and looked therein to know where his brother was. Benjamin divided the whole land of Egypt into 4 divisions, and he found that he who was sitting on the throne before him was his brother Joseph. Benjamin wondered greatly, and when Joseph saw that his brother Benjamin was so much astonished, he said to Benjamin, What have you seen, and why are you astonished? Benjamin said to Joseph, I can see by this that Joseph my brother sits here with me on the throne. And Joseph said to him, I am Joseph your brother. Reveal not this thing to your brothers. I will send you with them when they go away, and I will command them to be brought back again into the city, and I will take you away from them. And if they risk their lives and fight for you, then shall I know that they have repented of what they did to me. I will make myself known to them, and if they turn away from you when I take you, then shall you remain with me, and I will fight with them, and they shall go away. I will not become known to them." At that time Joseph commanded his officers to fill their sacks with food, and to put each man's money into his sack, and to put the cup in the sack of Benjamin, and give them provision for the road. And they did so to them. On the next day the men rose up early in the morning, and loaded their asses with the corn. They went forth with Benjamin, and went to the land of Canaan with their brother Benjamin. They had not gone far from Egypt, when Joseph commanded him that was set over his house, saying, "Rise, pursue these men before they get too far from Egypt, and say to them, Why have you stolen my master's cup?" Joseph's officers rose up, and he reached them, and he spake to them all the words of Joseph. When they heard this thing, they became greatly angry, and they said, "He with whom your master's cup shall be found shall die, and we will also become slaves." They hurried, and each man brought down his sack from his ass. And they looked in their bags, and the cup was found in Benjamin's bag. They all tore their garments, and they returned to the city, and they struck Benjamin in the road, continually smiting him until he came into the city, and they stood before Joseph. They're beating the snot out of Benjamin. That's nice. Judah's anger was set ablaze, and he said, "This man has only brought me back to destroy Egypt this day." The men came to Joseph's house, and they found Joseph sitting on his throne, and all the mighty men standing at his right and left. And Joseph said to them, "What is this act that you have done, that you took away my silver cup and went away? But I know that you took my cup in order to know thereby in what part of the land your brother was." Judah said, "What shall we say to our Lord? What shall we speak, and how shall we justify ourselves? Elohim has this day found the iniquity of all your servants. Therefore has he done this thing to us this day." Joseph rose up and caught hold of Benjamin, and took him from his brothers with violence. And he came to the house, and locked the door at them. Joseph commanded him that was set over his house, that he should say to them, "Thus says the king, Go in peace to your father. Behold, I have taken the man in whose hand my cup was found." Chapter 54. When Judah saw the dealings of Joseph with them, Judah approached him, and broke open the door, and came with his brothers before Joseph. And Judah said to Joseph, "Let it not seem bothersome in the sight of my lord. May your servant, I pray you, speak a word before you." And Joseph said to him, "Speak." Judah spoke before Joseph and his brothers where they were standing before them. Judah said to Joseph, "Certainly, when we first came to our Lord to buy food, you did consider us as spies in the land, and we brought Benjamin before you, and you still make sport of us this day. Now therefore let the king hear my words, and send, I pray you, our brother, that he may go along with us to our father, that your son not perish this day with all the souls of the inhabitants of Egypt." He's threatening him. "Do you not know what two of my brothers, Simon and Levi, did to the city of Shechem and the 7 cities of the Amorites on account of our sister Dinah, and also what they would do for the sake of their brother Benjamin? I with my strength, who am greater and mightier than both of them, come this day on you and your land if you are unwilling to send our brother. Have you not heard what our Elohim, who made choice of us, did to Pharaoh on account of Sarah our mother, whom he took away from our father, that he struck him and his household with heavy plagues? Even to this day the Egyptians relate this wonder to each other. So will our Elohim do to you on account of Benjamin, whom you have this day taken from his father, and on account of the evils which you this day heap over us in your land. For our Elohim will remember his covenant with our father Abraham and bring evil on you, because you have grieved the soul of our father this day. Now hear my words that I have this day spoken to you, and send our brother that he may go away, that you and the people of your land not die by the sword, for you cannot all prevail over me. Joseph answered Judah, saying, Why have you opened wide your mouth? And why do you boast over us, saying, Strength is with you? As Pharaoh lives, if I command all my valiant men to fight with you, certainly you and these your brothers would sink into the mud. Judah said to Joseph, Certainly it becomes you and your people to fear me. As the Elohim lives, if I once draw my sword, I shall not sheath it again, until I shall this day have slain all Egypt. And I will begin with you, and finish with Pharaoh your master. And Joseph answered and said to him, Certainly strength belongs not alone to you. I am stronger and mightier than you. Certainly if you draw your sword, I will put it to your neck and the necks of all your brothers. Judah said to him, Certainly if I this day open my mouth against you, I would swallow you up, that you be destroyed from off the earth, and perish this day from your kingdom. And Joseph said, Certainly if you open your mouth, I have power and might to close your mouth with a stone, until you shall not be able to utter a word. See how many stones are before us? Truly, I can take a stone and force it into your mouth and break your jaws. And Judah said, Yahuwah is witness between us, that we have not hereto desired to battle with you. Only give us our brother, and we will go from you. Joseph answered and says, As Pharaoh lives, if all the kings of Canaan came together with you, you should not take him from my hand. Now therefore go your way to your father, and your brother shall be to me a slave, for he has robbed the king's house. And Judah said, What is it to you, or to the character of the king? Certainly the king sends forth from his house throughout the land silver and gold, either in gifts or expenses, and you still talk about your cup, which you did place in our brother's bag, and say that he has stolen it from you? Yahuwah forbid that our brother Benjamin or any of the offspring of Abraham should do this thing to steal from you or from anyone else, whether king, prince, or any man. Now therefore cease this accusation, that the whole earth not hear your words, saying, For a little silver the king of Egypt argued with the men, and he accused them, and took their brother for a slave. And Joseph answered and said, Take this cup, and go from me. Leave your brother for a slave, for it is the judgment of a thief to be a slave. And Judah said, Why are you not ashamed of your words, to leave our brother and to take your cup? Certainly, if you give us your cup, or 1,000 times as much, we will not leave our brother for the silver which is found in the hand of any man, that we will not die over him. Joseph answered, And why did you turn away from your brother, and sell him for 20 pieces of silver to this day? Why then will you not do the same to this your brother? And Judah said, The Elohim is witness between me and you, that we desire not your battles. Now therefore give us our brother, and we will go from you without quarreling. And Joseph answered and said, If all the kings of the land should assemble, they will not be able to take your brother from my hand. Judah said, What shall we say to our father when he sees that our brother comes not with us, and will grieve over him? Joseph answered and said, This is the thing which you shall tell your father, saying, The rope has gone after the bucket. Judah said, Certainly you are a king, and why speak you these things, giving a false judgment? Woe to the king who is like you! Joseph answered and said, There is no false judgment in the word that I spoke on account of your brother Joseph. For all of you sold him to the Midianites for 20 pieces of silver, and you all denied it to your father and said to him, an evil beast has devoured him. Joseph has been torn to pieces. And Judah said, Behold, the fire of Shem burns in my heart. Now I will burn all your land with fire. Joseph answered and said, Certainly your sister-in-law Tamar, who killed your sons, extinguished the fire of Shechem. Judah said, If I pluck out a single hair from my flesh, I will fill all Egypt with its blood. Joseph answered and said, Such is your custom to do, as you did to your brother, whom you sold, and you dipped his coat in blood, and brought it to your father in order that he might say, An evil beast devoured him, and here is his blood. When Judah heard this thing, he was greatly enraged, and his anger burned within him. And there was before him in that place a stone, the weight of which was about 400 shekels. Judah's anger was set ablaze, and he took the stone in one hand, and cast it to the heavens, and caught it with his left hand. He placed it afterward under his leg, and he sat on it with all his strength, and the stone was turned into dust from the force of Judah. Joseph saw the act of Judah, and he was very much afraid. But he commanded Manasseh his son, and he also did with another stone like to the act of Judah. And Judah said to his brothers, Let not any of you say this man is an Egyptian, but by his doing this thing he is of our families, of our father's family. And Joseph said, Not to you only is strength given, for we are also powerful men, and why will you boast over us all? Judah said to Joseph, Send, I pray you, our brother, and ruin not your country this day. And Joseph answered and said to them, Go, and tell your father an evil beast has devoured him, as you said concerning your brother Joseph. Judah spoke to his brother Naphtali, and he said to him, Hurry, go now and number all the streets of Egypt, and come and tell me. Simon said to him, Let not this thing be a trouble to you. Now I will go to the mount, and take up one large stone from the mount, and level it at everyone in Egypt, and kill all that are in it. There's some big tough words going on there. Verse 34. Joseph heard all these words that his brothers spoke before him, and they did not know that Joseph understood them, for they imagined that he knew not to speak Hebrew. Joseph was greatly afraid at the words of his brothers, that they should destroy Egypt, and he commanded his son Manasseh, saying, Go now, hurry and gather to me all the inhabitants of Egypt, and all the valiant men together, and let them come to me now on horseback and on foot, and with all sorts of musical instruments. And Manasseh went and did so. Naphtali went as Judah had commanded him, for Naphtali was light-footed as one of the swift stags, and he could walk on the ears of corn, and they would not break under him. He went and numbered all the streets of Egypt, and found them to be 12. And he came quickly and told Judah. And Judah said to his brothers, Hurry, and put on every man his sword on his loins, and we will come over Egypt and strike them all, and let not a remnant remain. Judah said, Behold, I will destroy 3 of the streets with my strength, and you shall each destroy 1 street. When Judah was speaking this thing, then the inhabitants of Egypt and all the mighty men came toward them, with all sorts of musical instruments, and with loud shouting. And their number was 500 cavalry, and 10,000 infantry, and 400 men who could fight without spear or sword, only with their hands and strength. And all the mighty men came with a great storming and shouting, and they all surrounded the sons of Jacob, and terrified them, and the ground quaked at the sound of their shouting. When the sons of Jacob saw these troops, they were greatly afraid of their lives, and Joseph did so in order to terrify the sons of Jacob to become tranquilized. Judah, seeing some of his brothers terrified, said to them, "Why are you afraid, while the grace of Yahuwah is with us?" Judah saw all the people of Egypt surrounding them at the command of Joseph to terrify them. Only Joseph commanded them, saying, "Do not touch any of them." Then Judah hurried and drew his sword and uttered a loud and bitter scream, and he struck with his sword, and he stomped on the ground, and he still continued to shout against all the people. When he did this thing, the Elohim caused the terror of Judah and his brothers to fall on the valiant men and all the people that surrounded them. They all fled at the sound of the shouting, and they were terrified and fell one on the other, and many of them died as they fell. And they all fled from before Judah and his brothers, and from before Joseph. While they were fleeing, Judah and his brothers pursued them to the house of Pharaoh, and they all escaped. Judah again sat before Joseph and roared at him like a lion, and gave a great and tremendous shriek at him. The shriek was heard at a distance, and all the inhabitants of Succoth heard it, and all Egypt quaked at the sound of the shriek. Also the walls of Egypt and all of the land of Goshen fell in from the shaking of the earth, and Pharaoh also fell from his throne on the ground. Also all the pregnant women of Egypt and Goshen miscarried when they heard the noise of the shaking, for they were terribly afraid. And Pharaoh sent word, saying, "What is this thing that has this day happened in the land of Egypt?" They came and told him all the things from the beginning to the end. And Pharaoh was alarmed, and he wondered and was greatly afraid. His fright increased when he heard all these things. And he sent to Joseph, saying, "You have brought to me the Hebrews to destroy all Egypt. What will you do with this thievish slave? Send him away, and let him go with his brothers, and let us not perish through their evil, even we, you, and all Egypt. And if you desire not to do this thing, cast off from you all my valuable things, and go with them to their land if you delight in it. For they will this day destroy my whole country and kill all my people. Even all the women of Egypt have miscarried through their scream. See what they have done merely by their shouting and speaking? And if they fight with the sword, they will destroy the land. Now therefore choose that which you desire, whether me or the Hebrews, whether Egypt or the land of the Hebrews." Wow, talk about getting caught in the middle of a family argument. Yee! Verse 51, They came and told Joseph all the words of Pharaoh that he had said concerning him. And Joseph was greatly afraid at the words of Pharaoh, and Judah and his brothers were still standing before Joseph, indigent and enraged. And all the sons of Jacob roared at Joseph like the roaring of the sea and its waves. Joseph was greatly afraid of his brothers, and on account of Pharaoh, and Joseph sought a way to make himself known to his brothers, that they should not destroy all of Egypt. Joseph commanded his son Manasseh, and Manasseh went and approached Judah, and placed his hand on his shoulder, and the anger of Judah was stilled. And Judah said to his brothers, "Let no one of you say that this is an act of an Egyptian youth, for this is the work of my father's house." Joseph, seeing and knowing that Judah's anger was stilled, he approached to speak to Judah in the language of mildness. And Joseph said to Judah, "Certainly you speak truth, and have this day verified your assertions concerning your strength. And may your Elohim who delights in you increase your welfare. But tell me truly, why from among all your brothers do you argue with me on account of the lad, as none of them have spoken one word to me concerning him?" And Judah answered Joseph, saying, "Certainly you must know that I was security for the lad to his father, saying, if I brought him not to him, I should bear his blame forever. So I have approached you from among all my brothers, For I saw that you were unwilling to allow him to go from you. Now therefore may I find grace in your sight, that you shall send him to go with us, and then I will remain as a substitute for him, to serve you in whatever you desire. For wherever you shall send me, I will go to serve you with great energy. Send me now to a mighty king who has rebelled against you, and you shall know what I will do to him and to his land. Although he may have cavalry and infantry, or an exceeding mighty people, I will kill them all and bring the king's head before you. Do you not know, or have you not heard, that our father Abraham with his servant Eleazar struck all the kings of Elam with their hosts in one night? They left not one remaining. And ever since that day our father's strength was given to us for an inheritance for us and our descendants forever. Joseph answered and said, You speak truth, and falsehood is not in your mouth. For it was also told to us that the Hebrews have power, and that the Elohim, Yahuwah, delights much in them. And who then can stand before them? However, on this condition I will send your brother, if you will bring before me his brother, the son of his mother, of whom you said that he has gone from you down to Egypt. It shall come to pass when you bring to me his brother, I will take him in his stead, because not one of you was security for him to your father. When he shall come to me, I will then send you with his brother, for whom you have been security. And Judah's anger was set ablaze against Joseph when he spoke this thing, and his eyes dropped blood with anger. And he said to his brothers, How does this man this day seek his own destruction, and that of all Egypt? And Simon answered Joseph, saying, Did we not tell you at first that we knew not of the particular spot to which he went, and whether he be dead or alive? And why does my Lord speak these things? Joseph observed the countenance of Judah, discerned that his anger began to kindle when he spoke to him, saying, Bring to me your other brother instead of this brother. And Joseph said to his brothers, Certainly you said that your brother was either dead or lost. Now if I should call him this day, and he should come before you, would you give him to me instead of his brother? And Joseph began to speak and call out, Joseph, Joseph, come this day before me and appear to your brothers and sit before them. When Joseph spoke this thing before them, they looked each a different way to see from where Joseph would come before them. And Joseph observed all their acts and said to them, Why do you look here and there? I am Joseph whom you sold to Egypt. Now therefore let it not grieve you that you sold me, for as a support during the famine did Yahuwah send me from you. And his brothers were terrified at him when they heard the words of Joseph, and Judah was greatly terrified at him. When Benjamin heard the words of Joseph, he was before them in the inner part of the house, and Benjamin ran to Joseph his brother and embraced him and fell on his neck, and they wept. When Joseph's brothers saw that Benjamin had fallen on his brother's neck and wept with him, they also fell on Joseph and embraced him, and they wept a great weeping with Joseph. And the voice was heard in the house of Joseph that they were Joseph's brothers, and it pleased Pharaoh greatly, for he was afraid of them, and they should destroy Egypt. Pharaoh sent his servants to Joseph to congratulate him concerning his brothers who had come to him. And all the captains of the armies and troops that were in Egypt came to rejoice with Joseph, and all Egypt rejoiced greatly about Joseph's brothers. And Pharaoh sent his servants to Joseph, saying, Tell your brothers to fetch all belonging to them, and let them come to me, and I will place them in the best part of the land of Egypt. And they did so. Joseph commanded him that was set over his house to bring out to his brothers gifts and garments. And he brought out to them many garments, being robes of royalty, and many gifts. And Joseph divided them amongst his brothers. And he gave to each one of his brothers a change of garments of gold and silver, and these garments, and 300 pieces of silver. And Joseph commanded them all to be dressed in these garments, and to be brought before Pharaoh. And Pharaoh, seeing that all of Joseph's brothers were valiant men, and of beautiful appearance, greatly rejoiced. And afterward they went out from the presence of Pharaoh to go to the land of Canaan, to their father, and their brother Benjamin was with them. Joseph rose up and gave to them 11 chariots from Pharaoh, and Joseph gave to them his chariot on which he rode on the day of his being crowned in Egypt, to fetch his father to Egypt. Joseph sent to all his brothers' children garments according to their numbers, and 100 pieces of silver to each of them. And he also sent garments to their wives, to the wives of his brothers, for the garments of the king's wives, and he sent to them. He gave to each of his brothers 10 men to go with them to the land of Canaan, to serve them, and to serve their children, and all belonging to them in coming to Egypt. Joseph sent by the hand of his brother Benjamin 10 suits of garments for his 10 sons, a portion above the rest of the children of the sons of Jacob. And he sent to each 50 pieces of silver and 10 chariots on the account of Pharaoh. He sent to his father 10 asses laden with all the luxuries of Egypt, and 10 female asses laden with corn and bread and nourishment for his father, and to all that were with him, as provisions for the road. And he sent to his sister Dinah garments of silver and gold and frankincense and myrrh and aloe and women's ornaments in great plenty. And he sent the same from the wives of Pharaoh to the wives of Benjamin. He gave to all his brothers also, to their wives, all sorts of onyx stones and bdellium, and from all the valuable things among the great people of Egypt. Nothing of all the costly things was left but what Joseph sent to his father's household. He sent his brothers away, and they went, and he sent his brother Benjamin with them. And Joseph went out with them to accompany them on the road to the border of Egypt, and he commanded them concerning his father and his household to come to Egypt. And he said to them, "Do not quarrel on the road, for this thing was from the Elohim, to keep a great people from starvation, for there will be yet 5 years of famine in the land." And he commanded them, saying, "When you come to the land of Canaan, do not come suddenly before your father about this affair, but act in your wisdom." And Joseph ceased to command them, and he turned and went back to Egypt. And the sons of Jacob went to the land of Canaan with joy and cheerfulness to their father Jacob. They came to the border of the land, and they said to each other, "What shall we do in this matter before our father? For if we come suddenly to him and tell him the matter, he will be greatly alarmed at our words, and will not believe us." They went along until they came near to the houses, and they found Sirach, the daughter of Asher, going forth to meet them. The damsel was very good and subtle, and knew how to play the harp. They called to her, and she came before them and kissed them. And they took her and gave her a harp, saying, "Go now before our father and sit before him. Strike on the harp and speak these words." And they commanded her to go to their house. And she took the harp and hurried before them, and she came and sat near Jacob. She played well and sang, and uttered the sweetness of her words. "Joseph my uncle is living, and he rules throughout the land of Egypt, and is not dead." She continued to repeat and utter these words, and Jacob heard her words, and they were agreeable to him. He listened while she repeated them twice and 3 times, and joy entered the heart of Jacob at the sweetness of her words. And the spirit of Elohim was on him, and he knew all her words to be true. Jacob blessed Sarai when she spoke these words before him, and he said to her, My daughter, may death never prevail over you, for you have revived my spirit. Only speak again before me as you have spoken, for you have uplifted me with all your words. And she continued to sing these words, and Jacob listened, and it pleased him, and he rejoiced, and the spirit of Elohim was on him. While he was yet speaking with her, he saw his sons come to him with horses and chariots and royal garments and servants running before them. Jacob rose up to meet them and saw his sons dressed in royal garments, and he saw all the treasures that Joseph had sent to them. They said to him, Be informed that our brother Joseph is living, and it is he who rules throughout the land of Egypt, and it is he who spoke to us as we told you. Jacob heard all the words of his sons, and his heart palpitated at the words, for he could not believe them until he saw all that Joseph had given them, and what he had sent him, and all the signs which Joseph had spoken to them. They opened all before him and showed him all that Joseph had sent. They gave to each what Joseph had sent him, and he knew that they had spoken the truth, and he rejoiced greatly on account of his son. Jacob said, It is enough for me that my son Joseph is still living. I will go and see him before I die. And his sons told him all that had happened to them. And Jacob said, I will go down to Egypt to see my son and his children. Jacob rose up and put on the garments which Joseph had sent him. And after he had washed and shaved his hair, he put on his head the turban which Joseph had sent him. All the people of Jacob's house and their wives put on the garments which Joseph had sent to them, and they greatly rejoiced at Joseph that he was still living, and that he was ruling in Egypt. And all the inhabitants of Canaan heard of this thing, and they came and rejoiced much with Jacob that he was still living. Jacob made a feast for them for 3 days, and all the kings of Canaan and nobles of the land ate and drank and rejoiced in the house of Jacob. And that is the end of chapter 54. What a reunion! Wow! Can you imagine being stuck in the middle of that family fight? No wonder everybody was terrified. That'd be insane. Yelling and screaming and hollering, and the earth is shaking, and the women are all miscarrying. And wow! Yeah, talk about a family brawl. Jeez. I mean, I've seen some family brawls, but not like that one. Wow, that was pretty wild. All right, gang. Well, that's all I've got for tonight. I hope you all enjoyed this little journey through the Book of Jasher. It's fun. There's a lot going on there, and this is a real kick in the shorts. Well, until we meet again on Wednesday for our midweek Bible study, I bid thee shalom. Enjoy your week, everybody. We'll see you then. Bye.